Okay, hello everybody. This is Debby Enoe from Teacher Success Coach with another episode of the Female Educators Roundtable. And on this episode, on this Friday show, we'll be looking at, I'll be looking at 18 months on. What do I mean by that? Is 18 months after we've had the major pandemic. What does school look like? And during this time on a Friday, I interview educators from around the world who would actually tell us what it's been like for them, because some of them, I've actually interviewed them during the COVID time, what it was like, going through the pandemic. Now we are supposedly coming out at the other end of the pandemic. So I'm actually talking to some of them who've had before, and some of them are new, as to what is it like? What does school look like now for them? Last week, I spoke about, no, the week before last, I spoke about my experience because I interviewed everybody and I forgot that I'm also an educator, also in the classroom myself. Mm-hmm. So we got another educator from across the waters, from the Caribbean, which is fantastic because I don't think I've had a Caribbean educator this year yet. Most of them have been, Africa, US and Asia. So it's really nice to have, my people back on because, that's my Grenada people because I am from Grenada. So therefore, when I have my people, I get very, very excited. Seeing the green, all the greenery behind them make me think, oh my goodness, I should be home as well, right? So basically, introduce yourself, tell us in terms of, this kind of school you're teaching, etc., etc. And then I'll talk to you regarding, what is like coming out at the other end of COVID. Because for us educators, it's been a challenge. Anyway, welcome. Thank you very much for accepting the offer of coming back onto the platform to tell us what it's been like, after the major pandemic. So if you introduce yourself, tell us about your school and then take us from there. Thank you.
Okay, great. Lovely. My name is Elizabeth Forsyth. Everybody calls me Liz. And today I'm excited. I'm really happy to be back on, Debbie. It's been a long time. Yeah. And I am the principal of a private primary school. We actually have a preschool attached where we start with 3 pluses. And we move all the way up to the 12-year-olds who will then move on to secondary school when they would be finished here. So it's been a roller coaster ride by virtue of the fact that we had to cater for these different ages, these different groups of children. And it has been challenging, but it has been wonderful. Okay. Last time when we spoke, we were just around the first phase of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mm-hmm. And, in spite of the fact that Grenada did not necessarily have such a serious first phase, we did have some positive cases and so on. And we had to shut down and things like that. We had to be away from school for a long time. That would have been from around March all the way into September of 2020, because we started back in October of 2020 in a phased way. We had just the younger ones, like from about grade 4 down to the preschool coming in on mornings from 8 to 12. And then we had the grades 5s and 6s coming in at 12:30 to 4:30. So that was the last school year. We went smoothly, I would say, up to the end of the school year, which would have been the summer vacation. We went smoothly. Of course, we had to follow all of the protocols and everything, which we are doing right now. Again, you would notice that I have my mask on because I am in class. We have school going on right now with the grades 5s and 6s. Okay. So I must wear my mask and we must practice all of the protocols and so forth. Okay. So we did anticipate a great school year this year. And we came into school the last week in August. We would always come in, the entire staff would come in and we would have our staff meeting and have our plans, you know, with respect to what we intend to do. As a matter of fact, we would finalize what we intend to do, because during the vacation, and so we would still interact and share our ideas, what they think we should do and so forth. Because although it's a private school, we engage our parents and our staff quite a lot. So we came in on Monday the 30th of August, yes. And we had our staff meeting. We were at our 6 feet distance and everything, because what had happened was that some cases showed up in Grenada. And the government was very concerned because there seemed to have been community spread. In the past, we were able to identify the sources of the infections. We were able to do the contact tracing, and everything was under control during that first phase. But during this particular period, some of the individuals who contracted the COVID-19 virus were not able to say where they think they contracted the disease. And that was of critical concern. So the government indicated that that was community spread. And when there's community spread, it takes on a whole different set of rules and regulations as far as control is concerned, as far as trying to stem it. And so on Monday the 30th, as I said, we came into school and we had all of our meetings and everything. And we did raise some concerns about coming back into school, seeing that there was community spread. But none of us on staff had any relatives or neighbors or anything that had the disease that we knew of. However, when I got home, and my family and I, because my husband is the school's administrator, when we got home, my husband came down with a fever, a very, very hot fever, and headache and so on. So I said, what's going on? He said he didn't know, but he wasn't feeling well at all. And just around 7 o'clock the evening, we started listening to the major news broadcaster, and that's the GBN, and we were hearing of, you know, how many cases. It was like the cases were just multiplying. Wow. And then the news hit our community that one of our community or main Protestant churches lost, the pastor lost his wife, who was my childhood friend, We grew up together. So we were all in shock at that passing. And then my husband was having these fevers and having these headaches and body pains and so on. So we became very concerned. But I should also tell you that that I have a foster child. We have a foster son. As a matter of fact, we have 2 foster sons. And the older of the 2, during the week prior, said that he was not feeling that well. He was not eating as he should. You know, these children, 12 and 13-year-olds, they would just eat down the whole place. And his appetite was not there at all. And he was sleeping quite a lot and, you know, very lethargic. So it was just the last Friday of the vacation. So I said, let's go down to Grandlands Beach and take a swim. So I took him and the other little one to the beach. And by the time he got into the water, something that he loved, he just did not stay in there. In a few seconds, he was out of the water. And I'm like, why are you out of the water? What's wrong? And he said he was just feeling so cold. So I said, okay. So when he came out, I touched him and I realized that he was burning up. So we left and we came out, and I tried to get him some medical attention and so on. But it wasn't that bad. But as I said to you, that Monday, that is when the whole, everything just changed. Everything just changed, because what I realized was that our home was attacked. Right. And because of that, it affected the
The
smooth
school.
running, the smooth transition,
Right.
you know, of getting everything in place to start school. So the next
Right.
morning, he had a very hard night. The fever was high. We hardly slept. I had to be using all of the ice packs and so on to keep him cool and things like that. So the next morning, we said we gotta go get to the medical facility. So we called the COVID hotline, and they told us to get to the nearest medical station to have the test done. We called and they told us don't come too early because they would be out in the field. So we had to wait until they came back in like around lunchtime. And we got there. The four of us in the family went. My husband was tested. He tested positive. The older of the foster sons was tested and he tested positive. But I tested negative, and the nurses determined that they would not test the little one.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay.
So we had to then isolate.
Okay.
Immediately I said, well, we can't just go home just like that. I needed to get food in the house because if you have to isolate, we have to isolate for 14 days. So I needed to get food in the house. I needed to get medication and so on. But thankfully, a parent had sent me a list of medication that she had gotten for a friend who had to go into isolation.
Okay,
and she sent it to me. She said, just in the event that you might need it, I'm sending this to you. So it was that list of medication that I took to the pharmacy and got that and started helping my husband. But you know, we Grenadians, we have a lot of bush behind the house.
Exactly. I was about to say, what happened to the bush? What happened to the bush?
So, I got onto those herbs in the backyard. So I got my Chardonnay, I got my big thyme, I got my sugar dish. I tell you, I got my lemongrass, I got my mint. Oh Lord, and I brewed up. I just brewed up stuff. And then I got my onion and my garlic and my turmeric and my ginger and my honey, and I brewed up, and we just went down on this thing. We had it like 3 times a day. It was like breakfast, lunch, supper. And we just feasted on those hot beverages. And of course, the medication too, because we had to use the zinc and the vitamin C. There's a friend who came from the States and she brought a lot of vitamin C and zinc, and we were able to get from that. And of course, the other medication, we got some fever medicine and some cough medicine and so on. So that was a Tuesday. Now, that was happening. I had to take care of my family, but I also had to think about the school. So I had to get to the staff. When the tests were done and the 2 members of our family were positive, I had to get to my staff and ask them, please, I would not like them to go outside anywhere. I want them to take some time and look at themselves to see if they are developing any symptoms, because we were all at the staff meeting Monday. And by Monday night, we came down, with those symptoms. So I asked them to please observe themselves and observe their family members and so on. But thankfully, thank God, none of them had any symptoms. So that brought some relief. But then we still couldn't go back to school because by then the Ministry of Education said that school will be on hold. The reopening of school will be on hold because there were so many cases. The cases were just geometrically adding up.
Okay.
By the time you hear a number, next day you would hear a double number or a triple number. So it was very, very, very scary, because we were actually seeing some of the things that we saw on the news happening, in our presence. Some things we saw in the US, some things we saw in the UK, some things we saw in India. It was just, Italy. It was just playing out, right there before our eyes.
Right.
So it was pretty scary.
So is it because of the spread of it, the government have said to you guys, the whole of Grenada, that school could not reopen until now?
That's right, because of community spread. When there's community spread, you cannot trace where this thing is coming from. So in order to try to stem it, they had to put school on hold. But additionally, they had to implement some measures, immediate measures to help to stem it as well. So there were some lockdown weekends that were also stipulated.
Okay. So one of the things is, so therefore, were you teaching the children online during this time? So how were they getting the education?
Not yet. We couldn't. I mean, for First Choice Junior, we couldn't do anything yet because we were not prepared to go online, you know, as a school yet. But what we did, every class has a WhatsApp chat. Right? And so I encourage every member of staff to reach out to their parents and let them know what's happening. And we started by sending them the information, sending them, you know, different exercises, and so that the children would do based on the last year's work. So it was more like revision. We decided to just concentrate on revision for the first week, which was the which was the week following the week that we became sick.
So that's it.
Which should have been the first week of school.
Okay, so that was in August of this year, right?
Yeah, well, September.
September of this year.
Yeah.
Okay. But before that, the children was on holidays, and before that, they were actually. Have you ever taught them online though? Did they ever get online?
We taught them online. We taught them online last year.
Okay.
We taught them online, and then of course we had the program in school as well, where they had their tablets and they used to do a lot of work through the tablet, and so do it at home and so on. But by virtue of the fact that everything came back seemingly to normalcy, we had a good year, I would say, up to July. So we had our graduation, we had our activities for the children, and you know, everything seemingly came back to normal. So we did not anticipate that we would have had to plunge so quickly back into the online, the straight online. So for that first week, we decided to concentrate only on revision of work that was done the year before. So that's what we did for the first week.
Okay. So that was in August, September of this year. October. So October, what happened this year? What happened October?
Well, let me tell you what happened in September. Now, after we did the first 2 weeks of revision, now remember, I was sick as a principal. Well, I wasn't really sick. I was just isolated. I was in quarantine with my family.
Okay.
So I was sort of handicapped, right?
Yeah.
But what we and my husband was very sick, you know. He was really sick. Right. And I thank God a lot of persons prayed and sent us a lot of help, because those lockdown weekends were not nice at all. That first lockdown weekend was when we got the first set of medication. The second lockdown weekend was when we thought he was going to pass. It was that terrible. Debbie, I had some sleepless nights. We were using all of the meds, all of the bushes, everything that I told you we did. Well, you know, the brewing and the everything. We were doing all of that. I was doing all of the soups and everything for both he and Moses, our foster son. And, you know, but he just was not getting better. As a matter of fact, he started saying to me that he was just not comfortable. He was not in any pain, but he was uncomfortable. He did not know how to lie down. He did not know where to rest. He did not know if to sit down. He did not know if to stand up. It was just so frustrating. He was just restless. And I was like, God, what's going on here? So that second lockdown night, that second Friday, because the lockdown started 5 o'clock on Friday evenings.
Okay.
So about midnight, and about midnight, it was just different. His whole demeanor, his whole, he was not talking as much. He was not eating as much, and it was just different. And I began to get worried. So, girl, I went online, I went on Facebook, and I was just posting my prayers. I was just posting songs. I was just, just reaching out. I said, Lord, I was just hoping somebody could see me, And then a friend saw me, and she called me. By that time, it would have been around 2 o'clock in the morning. And she asked me if everything was okay. And I said, no, everything is not okay, because I am not happy with how Vince was looking. And she said she wanted to talk with me and pray with me. And she did. Then she asked me if she could pray with him. I said, sure, go ahead. And I allow her to pray with him. And she asked him some questions, and she asked him to give me back the phone, and she said to me she does not like how he is sounding. So she said she was going to get back to me, and she did. She called me back about 5 minutes after, and she said, I am getting a doctor to call your family. And that was by then it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and a doctor did call me. I don't know the doctor. Up to this day, I have never met the doctor. I've never seen the doctor. But this doctor called and asked me what was happening, and I told her, and she asked me to speak with him. I gave him the phone. She spoke with him. Then she said to me, he's getting an attack of pneumonia. I said,
wow.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Then she sent me a prescription via WhatsApp. And she told me, do my best to get this medication for him as soon as possible. Debbie, God is so good. Let me tell you what happened. I have wonderful parents here. Parents who you can reach out to for advice, parents you can reach out to when you have difficulties and so on. So I reached out to a parent and I said, this is what is happening. And she said, well, contact this parent, because this parent is working in a pharmacy. As a matter of fact, she has a supervisory role in a pharmacy. So I messaged the parent and I said, look at what is happening. My husband is not well. And, I gave her the whole story, Debbie, and then I sent her the prescription. It was a lockdown weekend. Here's what she did. She contacted her boss. The boss told her, go ahead. She contacted the pharmacist who lived a few miles away. She collected the pharmacist, because no transportation, no nothing. She also found the person responsible for opening up the building. And all three of them put their heads together to get my husband the medication. When she got the medication, she called me on the phone. She said, I've got you the medication. I've placed it on your step, because she couldn't come into the house. She placed it on my step. She said, go get it. And I said, well, you're not going to collect the monies? She said, no, I'm not interested in that money right now. I just want to make sure that you all are quite well. And that's what she did. And I got the meds. And from the time I started giving him the meds, he started feeling better. And that is what it was at that point I was able then to take up my responsibility as a principal. So that's when I messaged the staff, and I took upon myself to message every parent. I said, I am letting everybody know what is happening, because I don't know if my own parents are having the experience that I was having. So I messaged everybody and I said, this is what is happening. My husband came down with COVID, and we are on isolation, and and I wanted them to cooperate with the teachers and everything like that. And I told them I was going to give them more information as time progressed, and that's what I did. So after he felt better, we had a staff meeting, and we decided that we were going to resume now in full online learning.
Okay.
So it was after that second lockdown weekend. that the Monday of that weekend, because it was a Friday, he was that sick. And by Saturday, Sunday, he was feeling better. So I said, we are going to plunge into the online classroom. And that's what we did. So we did it up to last week. We were online from that third week in September up to last week. And we are still doing online because some parents, very few of them though, have not sent their kids out.
Okay.
So even though the teachers are teaching in school, they're still reaching out to them via Microsoft Teams.
Okay,
or
using
via
Teams.
Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, because I actually reached out to one of my students. He's in Florida right now, and I reached out to him via Zoom. You know, so this is what has been happening. It has been quite
So you're
quite serious.
operating a hybrid setup then. So
Yes.
right. So which means your teachers are doing hybrid, right? They're doing. Are you able to hear me?
I'm hearing you.
Right. I'm saying, so therefore your school is doing hybrid. You're doing some online as well as in the physical.
Right. So prior to this week, we were all doing online. Everybody was online. But by virtue of the fact that we were able to come back into the plant, we've had the majority of them in class, but we do have some at home, and we have been doing online. So you are correct. This week was a hybrid session.
Okay. So what has discipline been like in the classroom now that the children have come back? Or you've only come back this week, right?
Only this week. The discipline is very good, you know. I think the discipline in-house is better than it's online.
Really?
Mm-hmm. The discipline in-house, face-to-face, is much better than online. Because let me tell you, these children are so smart. They are so savvy when it comes to the technology that you would think they're there.
Yes.
You would think you're teaching them, and they're nowhere around.
Yes.
They're nowhere around. And we are proving it now that we are back in class. We are realizing that some things that were taught online were not learned online.
Right.
Because they were not there. Their face was there. Their presence was there in terms of their name being recorded as a participant.
Yeah.
But honey, they were doing their own thing.
Yeah. It's amazing though, because I think this is across the board, because while I was teaching in January, we came back in March. So I was still teaching online from January of this year. And at times I would be thinking that my students were there, you know, as you say, because one of the things with the school I was teaching at, these children did not have to have the camera on. So, you know, they could have whatever image. And what I also decided to do, when I dismissed the class, some of them were still on, they were still there because they were not aware that the class was dismissed, because they were not even there. They just put everything on and they disappeared, right? And sometimes half an hour later, I realized this student is still a big staff. Actually say, you know what, let's see how long the student is going to be there, not realizing that the school have been dismissed. One day was half an hour later, when I popped back, the child was still around. And I'm thinking, yes, this is clearly demonstrating that you were just going through the motions. So that's one of the challenges, you know, we had here in terms of the online platform. Another thing is, you know, it's interesting that, you know, you said that discipline in the classroom was much better, because what I'm beginning to find is they've come back in the physical classroom, and in terms of, you know, keeping quiet, being focused, that's gone out the window. They have, you know, discipline is really, really challenging, even up to now in the physical classroom, because they're extremely noisy. And I think that also seems to be as a result of not having had, you know, like discipline or not having structure. You know, that's something I've actually noticed. So it's interesting that you said that. Another thing is, a lot of people have been talking about lost learning. What are your views regarding lost learning? Does that, you know, do you connect with that?
I mean, I'm telling you quite honestly, the children said to me that they were not learning as well online as compared to when they are in class. And coming back into class now, you're realizing that they were actually speaking the truth. Because sometimes you might be doing a topic that you would have already done online, and they would tell you they never understood until you are there now, just explaining and demonstrating, and so to them. So the same strategies were used. I mean, we use all of the pictures, we use the screen share, we use videos, we use all kinds of things, but they said that they did not understand as much as when you work with them face to face. And that was one of the rationale for coming back, because what we did was to hold sessions with each class, ask them their views. Do you think we should come back in? Do you think we should not? How do you think we should come in if everybody agrees that we should come in? So we had discussions with the children, we had discussions with our parents, and we had discussions with some of the persons who, the partners of the school. And the children surprised us with their arguments as to why they should come back to school, and of course why they should not. Now, those who wanted to come back to school were in the minority. It was like a 90 to 10%, right? And they gave reasons. They said when they come back to school, they would not be cheating. Come on, children say that. So what they're saying is that when they are online, it allows them an opportunity to cheat.
Exactly.
Can you imagine?
Exactly.
Those children said that to us. I'm like, oh my goodness. They said when they are in school, they don't cheat. But when they're online, it is something that, I mean, it caught my attention, right? And then they also said that they wanted to see their friends. They wanted they wanted, because there's buddy learning, there's buddy teaching. Children learn from their friends. Their friends might be able to explain, a concept better than the teacher.
Yes.
And they wanted that experience. They wanted that experience. And I think we cannot take these things for granted. We have to watch for the things that the children need and work to, towards that, to help them to regain the learning that they would have lost, because there is lost learning issue when you're online.
Right.
It's
Thank
totally
you.
different from if they're looking at a movie.
It is very true, because learning online is quite tedious, because I know my son didn't he didn't take to learning online because the teachers did not even have their camera on. For me, I found it very, very tiring, because I'm connecting with my student. I say, is anybody there? Nobody answers you. You ask a question, nobody answers you. The excuse always is, oh, my mic isn't working. Oh, the pile of excuses. So going back to school was exciting, because I missed the noise of the classroom. I missed the noise of the corridor.
I hear you.
The noise that once used to be, quite annoying. I miss that.
Right.
The bustliness of the student. I really did miss that. So when we went back, it was really interesting, because a lot of the students recognized me more than I recognized them, because that was a new class. So they all knew who I was.
Right.
But I didn't even know who they were, because I've seen no faces. All I saw was whatever image they had on the screen. What would you say that you have learned 18 months on from the major pandemic?
Never, ever take anything for granted. Life cannot be taken for granted. And that change is permanent, because every single day there's something different that you have to adjust to. And I have learned in those months to appreciate the children and the parents. The parents have placed their children in our care, and we are partnering to grow them up in the best way that we can. I cannot take that for granted. I must appreciate my parents, and I must appreciate my children. I didn't speak about some of the triumphs of the year, but I can tell you this, that in spite of all of the trials and challenges that we had, we had some wonderful triumphs. This year was the best year for us when it came to the results of the children
Wow.
who did their secondary school exams.
Mm.
I mean, at the end of the year, when the CXC results came, the CXC is the parallel to GCE.
Oh
right?
yes, yeah.
Right. And when the results came out, they spoke about how well, the children did. And one child did 17 subjects and got
Ooh.
17 ones, all A's
Wow.
in profile and so on. And they spoke about another child who did 16 from the sister aisle, your aisle from Carrier Coop,
Oh
right?
yes.
He got his 16 subjects and so on. And one parent called me and told me, well, as a matter of fact, I asked about one child because she was always coming to the school every evening. Her younger sister is still here. And I asked the person, how did she do? Because she was one of the children that was very concerned about the online learning for those of them in the secondary school, because they did not go back into school in an everyday setting like we did in our
Okay.
private school setting. They had to be phased in, and of course the population is much larger, and to have
Yeah.
6 feet distance, even 3 feet distancing, it was difficult for them. So she was always coming to help to collect her younger sister. So I asked about her, and she got 11 subjects. And I was so
Wow.
blessed. I said, oh my God, I
Yes.
was so elated. And then another
Yes.
parent called me during the night and said, Mrs. Fu said, we had to call you all to let you know that our daughter got 13 ones. I'm like, oh
Wow.
my God. Like, oh my
Wow.
God. And then
Wow.
later in the night, I got this call from another parent, and she said, Mrs. Forsyth, Mr. Forsyth, we could not do anything but call you all. Our daughter, Kana, got 17 subjects,
Wow.
17 ones, all A's in profile. And that's who you see in the picture with me. Her name is
Okay.
Hannah Jane
Okay.
Smithson. Yes, she
Okay.
actually lives in the US now because she went over when she was finished. And
Okay.
she came back down for a week, and
Okay.
we connected, and we went to the beach and had a picture taken. So you're seeing us on Grandland's Beach right there. It was just so
Okay.
wonderful, and there are many
Wow.
others. Some people did 7, some did 9, got 100% passes, and I
Wow.
mean, I tell you, I bless God so much. I said, oh my God, in the midst of all of those challenges, you're still proving yourself to be faithful. And the
Yeah.
children made us feel so proud. So I have been saying to those here right now, I said, if they, in spite of the challenges, were able to perform so well, you can
Yeah.
do the same. So I
Yeah.
want you to emulate them. So we've had
Yeah.
some tough times, but I tell you, God is good. And of
Yes.
course, we've had some precious, wonderful persons who would have been sick with the COVID and got well.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
We had we
Yeah.
had we had some persons who had underlying conditions and so on, and the COVID was present in their family members at home, and they never had a symptom. So, when I
Right.
look at that, I said, oh my God, these are triumphs. These are things that we have to praise God for. These are things that we have to
Yeah.
rejoice about. So
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
say that in spite of the challenge, we've had some good blessings.
Yeah, your students, the students did, really brilliantly in spite of all the
Yes,
challenges that they've actually had.
that's right.
That's really,
Actually,
really brilliant. That really is,
awesome.
to be
Awesome.
celebrated. Is there
That's
anything
right.
that you could actually, in terms of what you've learned from COVID, is there anything what you've learned in the last 12 months, is there anything that you're going to take back into the physical classroom? Like anything that you've learned, online, that you say, okay, that's a
Mhm.
really good practice, or this really good, I'm going to take
Mhm.
it into the physical classroom.
Of course, I mean, we used to be practicing a lot of hygienic things before, but with COVID and all of the stipulated protocols, I think if we live by them, Debbie, in
Mm,
our ordinary everyday lives, I think we would be healthier.
mm,
We would be healthier. We will not take certain things for granted. So we've been trying to encourage the children to practice the protocols, the hand washing. I mean, that was something we used to be saying all the time. Wash your hands before you have a meal, wash your hands, you know, when you use the bathroom and so on and so forth. But now, because we are realizing it has to be done to help to prevent certain things from happening to you, it has now taken on new meaning. So those protocols are things that we are insisting upon, and also we are seeing the value in the online platform, so that we mix the online now with what we do face to face, because there are things that you can access while you're teaching. There are videos, there are programs that you can access while you're teaching that can help the children to understand the concept, because it cannot be online alone. It has to be the blending of the two is critical for some children to understand certain things. Remember, there are many different intelligences, there are many different learning styles. So when we bring all of those together, there will be better learning. Learning will stick, as a matter of fact. It can be hooked upon something. So I think it's important that we capitalize on that, and we should have a better generation of children going forward educationally, technologically, and so forth.
That's brilliant, though, because it's interesting, because I was, you know, I was trying to reflect, you know, me going back into the physical classroom, and then ask myself, okay, what have I taken back from the online platform? And you're right, because what I've taken back is, you know, is using a lot more videos with my lesson than I used to, and actually getting them to practice and going to some of the some of the sites that I would never allow them to go on during my lesson. Right. I'm actually using that now to say, okay, you know, this is what I want you guys to do. So in terms of that, I must say, you know, it have actually made me utilize the online platform in terms of various resources a lot more than I once did, which is very true. How would you say that COVID, in what way do you think that this whole situation have affected your ability and the way you now teach?
Well, I have begun to realize that you got to change. You must change. Life is about change. Things are going to come to you, and you will have to adapt. You will have to adjust what you used to do in the past. And I have been trained to capitalize on best practices. So here's what, Debbie. I capitalize on everything that my younger members of staff know. Because when they're doing their studies, Debbie, I mean, in this modern times, it's you know, it's online. It's all of the ability to make use of the computer and everything, all of the programs, the Excel, the whatever. And I have learned to capitalize on the experience and the expertise of my younger members of staff. I depend on them. I call them. I said, hello, I am not able to do this. Can you help me with this? Can you do that for me? Or can you teach me? What are the steps? Debbie, I am not ashamed to say that I don't know everything, and I'm happy to learn from my younger members of staff.
Yep, it is crucial. As I said, I even said to my students, even up to today, I say, you know, you all are my teacher. And they look at me, what do you mean? I said, yes. I say, you are my teacher as well as I'm your teacher, because I've learned so much from you guys. Because one of the things is, when we've actually started, when we started doing the online platform, as you also know for yourself, none of us were trained to do that. We were just thrown in the deep end. And I had students actually, because I did not, although I used to use Teams, we were only using it for students to hand in the work. But actually having to teach on Teams or teach on Zoom, that was a different ballgame altogether. So I had in some cases where students were actually, you know, taking control of the platform. You know, I put up the slide disappeared. I didn't even understand what was happening there. You know, I had all of that taking place. only to realize that, you know, I had to teach myself in terms of, you know, going on YouTube so that I understand what's happening, because there's no way I would have been defeated by my students.
Hello.
There's no way.
You know,
because
yeah, on Teams, they used to take charge. They're knocking you off. They, you know, they're not easy. You know, they're having their own meeting.
Yeah, I had all of that. So I thought, you know what? I had to spend all night, one night, to make sure that when they actually come on, they say that the team that could actually remove the slide, they realized I took control and they started to laugh. Miss, what you doing? I say, yes, the same thing you were doing yesterday. I've taught myself. So we had to. So, you know, those are some of the things in terms of, you know, the challenges and the triumph. And I think as educators, we have learned a lot. And it was interesting that you've actually said that you're actually blending the two, the online and the physical. And I think that's, you know, that is really brilliant.
Debbie, I'm having a little, so let me get rid of this here. Take this one. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here still. Yeah.
Right, wonderful.
That's technology for you.
My battery died on the laptop, so I have to use my phone now.
Okay. Anyway, we almost finished. Right. What 3 tips can you give, you know, in terms of moving forward, that you would say that you've actually gained from the pandemic? What 3 things that you've said, oh my goodness, in spite of all the challenges we've had, you know, these are the 3 things I could say, yes, you know, I'm going forward with as an educator, you know, and making life as an educator for my student much better. What 3 things could you say that you've actually taken forward?
Debbie, I think I knew this before. I knew this before, that teamwork is critical. But through this pandemic experience, I have seen how critical it is for us to work together as a team, not just within our own private school as First Choice Junior, but working together as colleagues, other principals and other education officials and so on, coming together, talking through our situation and looking for what is the best step to take. What are the best methods to use? How can we do certain things that would benefit every one of us? The children. This is a partnership. The children, the parents, the teachers. And so I've learned that teamwork, according to the saying, really and truly makes the dream work. So that's one. The second thing that I have learned is that, Debbie, it doesn't make any sense worrying and beating up and stressing yourself over what is going on. We have to, you know, take life in strides. And I want to say thank you to you right now for all of the encouragement that you have been sending to us. It was not just for us female educators, but it was for everybody who was able to access your platform. Because those encouraging words, taking care of yourself, this was critical to me. Because, you know, I've been running around, you know, doing everything for everybody, and I was not thinking about myself. And I had to step back and take a deep look into myself to see, Liz, are you really and truly doing anything to benefit your life? What have you been doing to enhance your life? And, you know, the saying, you know, when you're on a flight and there's an accident or something, there's an incident, and you need to put your life vest on before you can attend to somebody else. And that too is something that I learned. And the final thing that I learned, you know, based on your questions, is that you have to appreciate people. You must appreciate people. When I saw how many of my acquaintances, how many of my loved ones, my husband lost a brother and a sister, right? I lost my 2 brothers-in-law during this time. And when I saw my sisters and my nieces and my nephews and my husband's relatives, when I saw neighbors and so on, hurting and grieving, I had to admit that we need to appreciate people. We need to appreciate one another. We don't know when it's our last. And so we need to show love. We need to forgive. We need to work together. We need to do everything that we can to make life happier and easier for one another. I've learned that. It was a sad time in many instances. I mean, oh Lord, I can even up to yesterday, we had such a shocking death. A young guy, we saw him grow up from a child, and my husband taught him in school. He just passed away, and we cannot get used to the idea, the concept of death. And I'm saying that we need to appreciate people. We need to tell people thank you. We need to tell people that I love you. We need to tell people that I appreciate you. And if we hurt people, we need to apologize and we need to move on. We can't continue to hold grudges and so on. Even politically, we need to realize, hello, this is not going to last. This is not going to last. But our love and our care and our affection and our compassion is what would make the difference in the lives of people. You know? So I have learned that. I'm telling you, I have learned that.
It's interesting though, something you've said, thank you very much, something you've said earlier on, when you were talking about the connection with your parents, because this is something as an educator, I say on all my platforms, it is so very important that schools need to appreciate the parents and need to make sure that there is that connection. And it was so beautiful when you began speaking about the connection of your parents and how much you value your parents. And it is so beautiful because I feel that, other establishments need to realize the value of connecting with your parents.
Of course.
A lot of times in this country or in some of the schools, I do not feel that the school value the parents enough.
True.
And I feel that is something need to be realized. And it was so beautiful when you were demonstrating the connection and the importance of, making sure that your parents are heard, making sure that your parents are connected, making sure that your parents know what was happening. That was so beautiful. And I really thank you for actually expressing that and demonstrating how much you value your parents. Because that is something we need to really start appreciating our parents. Instead, in schools, we are having the tug of wars with the parents and the school. Because, in one of my children's school, I thought that I had a fantastic relationship with the school, but I realized that I thought I did, but there wasn't a relationship, and it's quite sad when that happens. So it was really beautiful to hear, the value you put on your parents. Is there anything else you want to say to us before, say to me rather? Oh my goodness, why am I keep on saying us? Right. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up? And I really do thank you for appreciating what I've been doing on the platforms, because
Debbie, you've been such a darling. You don't know. You have reached multiple thousands, tens of thousands of lives. And only in the by and by you will understand. You've been a blessing. You've really been a blessing.
Thank you. I keep on saying to people, there's sometimes we are called to do these things. It's not because this is what you want to do, but because you've been called to do it, so therefore you end up doing these things. And I feel that I have been called to do that. And I feel so blessed because it's not coming from me, it's coming from the Almighty that, have given me that gift. Because as I was saying on a platform this morning, I like talking and I have a message to give. And it's important that I continue to give that message.
Yes, it is. And I just want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to continue the good work that you're doing, because persons have been blessed. Persons are blessed. I have been blessed, I'm telling you. And I really want to thank you. I can't thank you enough for what you have done. And I really wish we would have more persons who would share positive things, who would give encouragement, and because we need encouragement. This is a tough time.
Yes.
People are dying out of fear.
Yeah, it is very true.
Yeah. There's so much uncertainty.
Yeah.
And people need assurance. People know that God is good. People need to know that God loves them, and that they can turn to him. They can trust him in the midst of the storm.
Yeah.
You know, they can trust him. I tell you, I have seen how he has provided for me, how he made a way, you know, even for school to be reopened, you know, how we were able to put things together, how we were able to put ideas together, how we were able to put, you know, create the 6 feet distance, and how we were able to get the classrooms, you know, to conform, and, you know, all of that. And so it's God. The Bible says he gives us the ideas, you know. So I really, really thank him. And I say thank you for this opportunity to share.
Yes.
Last week I was so engrossed in getting things
trying
ready
to get the school back up and running. Yes.
I forgot. But I'm so happy that you have given me this opportunity to share. It's been a pleasure.
It's interesting. Things happen for a reason, because last week I had my face was swollen because I feel that I was being, I was in a new school, and I was very, very stressed. And I think as a result of that, I end up having toothache. But there was nothing wrong with the tooth. It was a stress factor. So last Saturday, it was a situation. Last Friday, I thought, okay, things happen for reasons.
Yes,
so so that was
good.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. And I do appreciate you coming on to share your experience and your journey of what's been happening. And, it's just been wonderful. The interesting thing about it is Grenada did not have a spike when everyone else was. But when everyone else has gone back, Grenada had to go into lockdown. So, so I think that was, some of the, the challenges. Thank you very much, and continue impacting on your student, because it is so interesting that we as educators remind our students that they're capable. I said to a group of students yesterday, the sky is not the limit, beyond the sky is your limit.
Beyond the sky is the limit,
right?
Exactly.
The sky is just there. We want beyond the sky. And the student look at me, Miss, what are you talking about? I said, yes. I said, the sky, no, you need to go beyond the sky.
Beyond the sky.
And remember, you could do anything you want to do. So the fact that we've got these young minds in our hands, it is so very important that we actually, impact really positive, positive concept, and remind them that they could do anything they want to do. There is no limitation.
That's right.
And we need to encourage them to step forward. So those are some of the things as educators, I feel that we really do need to remember how powerful our roles are. Thank you very much, Liz, and I thank you for being on the platform. Have a great afternoon. Stay blessed, and we connect soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.